by case situation when it's a child, and just look at the situation, look at their environment, because people do train their kids to be killers, just like they train them to be everything else.
So you're saying if the kid has been so-called trained to be a killer, then we should not treat him as an adult?
I think all that should be looked into. Everything
What do you
should be
think?
looked
You
into.
buy that?
I think the cutoff should be 18, and under that, it's 17, 18.
But what about her
limited
point? What about her point that if the kid is trained as a killer in his home environment, then you should not try the kid as an adult? You agree with that?
I think it should be considered. That should be part of the things that's considered. You know what? If the father was in jail for murder, or even if it's not murder, if it's drugs or whatever, the father's in jail for it, the uncle's in jail for it, the child is in the environment, chances are the child's going to be a part of that environment.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. It sounds like your premise is that if the kid is raised in a household where, in your words, that he was trained to be a killer. So I think what you're trying to say is that based on the environment that he was raised, if the kid is now suffers some greater propensity to commit a crime, then we should be more lenient.
And that should be considered, yeah.
I can't agree with that.
And that's okay, but it's been proven that we are a product of our environment.
What are you trying to say, Lewis?
I don't understand why they don't consider it.
Thank you. The point I was trying to get across, you have to look at the background. As she said, I agree with her on that. But in terms of saying someone's trained to be a killer, I'm not quite sure, that's accurate. A lot of things can come into play. You could just basically be deposed at that particular time to do something wrong, and that has to be evaluated. But again, in my mind, you really have to look at the intent and whether that person had malice.
Okay.
All of that.
Let's look at the fact that
All of
trying, and a lot of these articles kind of bear witness to it through statistics, trying children as adults has not really been a deterrent.
No.
People argue, well, that will deter a 16-year-old from doing something, but most kids aren't aware of the legal nuances of sentencing or whatever, so it's not a deterrent in the first place.
And the stuff that they learn, like you said, the 17-year-old said, well, I knew I wouldn't go to jail. They learn that from somebody older in their environment that's pushing them out to do the thing crime anyway.
So
that's what a lot of drug dealers do with young kids.
If in fact that's true, that they learn that, then that blows a hole in your theory. That they don't know any better, that maybe it's not a deterrent, because this kid said that I killed this woman because I knew that they couldn't try me as an adult.
That means that
was one kid.
Yeah, that was just one kid. Not to mention, he still could have not known better. If someone told him, if he's been groomed by this older person that's saying, we want you to go out and do the killing. We want you to go do this, your first kill or whatever, and don't worry about it. You're too young. You're not going to go to jail for it. If this older person told him, he still can go out and do it because he looks up to this person, or because this person is taking care of him and he feels threatened by this person.
Yeah, but my point is
that Gavin, he doesn't know better.
But Gavin is making, wait a minute, you're saying that he doesn't know better.
I'm saying he still could not know better. He could still just be doing it just because the older person is telling him to do it.
So you're saying he may be more susceptible to influence?
Yes, of course. That's exactly how it is, and that's exactly what drug dealers do. They have younger kids doing it, doing all the running, doing all the going to the cars and everything like that, and that's the first thing they tell them. Don't worry about it, you're too young to go to jail for it. That's what they do, so I don't understand why people acting like this is so new.
So even if it's not new, it seems to me that if a kid, I don't care if the kid is 14 years old, 15 years old, if the kid is involved in a gang, according to your example, if the kid is involved in a gang and the gang member says, hey, go out and kill this person, you're only 15 years old, so you're in good shape, don't worry about it, guy. And he goes out and kills this person, I don't care that the kid was 15 years old.
You want him to go to jail? You think he should go to jail?
Yeah, why shouldn't he go to jail? He goes out and kills my son, daughter, relative, friend, whatever, and just because some gang member told him he's underage to be tried as an adult.
But the fact that he's susceptible to that type of influence shows just how immature he is.
Exactly.
The example that you gave, the person was saying, oh, well, I can only get a few months because I'm a child, so let me do this. That actually shows how ignorant he is, because he doesn't know that actually they can push you over.
Right, they can.
Are you trying to say that we should be lenient on the kid because he's ignorant? There's a lot of adults that are just as ignorant.
It's not leniency for ignorance. It's a standard. It's what should be the standard.
That's all
and the
I'm
standard
saying.
is if you're under 18 and everything else in the world, if you're under 18, you are not competent.
Yeah.
Let's keep that standard across the board. That's all I'm saying.
And I'm not saying they shouldn't go away and get treated and and be rehabilitated. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I don't think they should be put like the 14-year-old who did the wrestling move. They put him in the jail with criminals, regular adult criminals. Like he's serving time like a regular adult for doing a child's prank or whatever. I don't understand that. That's all I'm saying. Set the rules, like Gavin said, and that's okay. This is what we're going to abide by, and then look at all of the things that you said we should look at. Look at whether it's malice, everything else that's there, and make sure everything is tried on an individual case.
Let's say you
should not be just
do
one
set
group.
the rules. You do set the rules. Now this goes back to Lewis's point. You set the rules and you look at all of these other factors to determine whether the kid should be tried as an adult or not. One of the factors that you look at is going to be the age or the maturity level of the kid, right?
Correct.
Regardless of the age. Even let's assume the kid is under 18. You're going to look at the maturity level of this kid as one of those factors that you consider. What if you determine that this kid is extremely intelligent, extremely highly intelligent, even brilliant, for example? Should that kid then be tried as an adult?
Depending upon the circumstance. 'Cause you and I both know, Stan, you could be brilliant and crazy
Yes.
and mentally
But
ill.
Because most brilliant people
in
are.
my example, I'm assuming that the kid is not crazy. I'm assuming that this kid is highly intelligent kid. There's no way that you can say that this kid is immature or incompetent or anything. There are kids who are just as intelligent or more
But
so
what
than
does intelligence and
adults.
maturity have to do? They're not one and the same.
But that's the point. The point is that the reason why you're saying that a kid under 18, the only reason why you're saying that we should consider all these other factors is to determine the kid's maturity level because they're more susceptible to influences.
Right, but you can be smart or brilliant and still be influenced. So that has nothing to do. Your maturity level has nothing to do with whether you're brilliant or smart or not. Has nothing
One
to do
of
with
the stats that was pointed out in this book was how younger people are more prone to giving false confessions because they're more used to just giving into adult supervision
and
to
or
figures of
telling them what
authority.
they want to hear. Yeah.
So they're sitting there, they're confessing the crimes, and it's more than a lot of people confess to crimes they didn't commit, but it happens more with juveniles just because an authority is in front of me, this police officer in a uniform or this DA is in front of me. I better do what he says.
And so you're
to
saying
police him.
that may be a reason why we should not try kids as an adult because they are more prone to giving false testimony.
That's both a reason and proof for showing how immature they are.
I just don't think they should be tried as an adult. I mean, under certain circumstances, maybe if the person is 18 and a day.
Look, there's
and
always
the whole
going to
time-
be some ridiculous example of some
Yeah.
gruesome crime. You're just like, oh my goodness, go burn that kid.
Right.
But the standard should still be.
What about that situation with the gruesome crime that you just mentioned? Should that kid be tried as an adult?
I think that they gave an example of a kid who, went to kill his teacher, knew the teacher was afraid of heights, walked the teacher to the edge of a cliff, threw her over and killed her. I still think, man, that's a childish, stupid thing to do.
Childish?
He knew.
I wouldn't say that's childish. That is very mature thinking, if you ask me.
As a child,
In order for the kid to be able to, this is not a kid that's thinking as a child. This kid has rationalized that, okay, this person is afraid of heights,
Right.
and he's actually preconceived a technique to murder this person based on this person's own internal fears. That's not a thinking of a
But you
child.
can be a five-year-old. You can be a 5-year-old kid and know that, say, a dog is afraid of certain things, so you're going to keep doing it to him. That doesn't necessarily
what
mean.
about
you have
that?
to-
Yeah.
but you're trying to substitute intelligence for maturity.
Yeah, right. And it's not. They're not one and the same. And I think one of the things that comes with maturity, and honestly, that's why I said I think maybe it should be 21, because I think actually maturity comes way after that. Think about it. Think about us in your young age at 20. I know at 21, I remember my first time when I was away at college. Oh my God, I didn't realize how mature I was until I was sitting in front of a bunch of people I didn't know doing things that my mother had already warned me about that I just thought she was lying about. So I remember how immature I was. So I think that if 21 is maybe the cutoff, or we really start to just say, you know what, we're not going to even consider it. They're tried as an adult or whatever it should be. But there has to be some type of standard that we set, and we set it for everybody, black,
What do you
brown,
think?
blue,
Do you
whatever.
think the 21 is a better cutoff than 18?
I think it's too high.
You think 21 is too high?
I think it's too high, to be
you
honest
you
with
was
you.
mature at 18, real mature.
No, I wasn't mature at 18.
That's
But
all
in
I'm saying.
terms of crime, so forth and so on, I think 21 is too high. 18 is a reasonable time frame. As we said, we try to deviate. We try to go from 17 to 18 in that bracket. I say case by case basis. Under 16, no. That's my position.
What do you think? Do you think 21 is reasonable or no? Too high?
I think the standard for adulthood should be one or the other. I personally think it should be 18. You can vote at 18. You can be, well, not drafted now, but you can serve in the military at 18. That's it. You're an
Yeah.
adult.
So maybe
You can't drink until you're 21
Right.
unless you're in New Orleans.
maybe
but
maybe the 21. I think Lewis maybe. Who said 21? That was Kim.
I said 21.
I think Kim may be onto something with this idea about 21. Maybe a good solution is if you are over 21, you're tried as an adult. Period.
Period.
And if you're under 18, you're not tried as an adult. period. But in between 18 and 21,
Yes.
that's when all these other circumstances maybe ought to
saying.
come into
Yeah.
play, and we should take a look at
Yeah.
what's going on with the kid and his background and so forth. You think that's reasonable?
I think that's reasonable. Just like when someone is molested,